27-inch 5K iMac review coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my 5K iMac review. As you can see up on the screen, this is the 5K iMac. This is the 27-inch edition from 2017. So the first thing I want to talk about is the key specifications of this MacBook. So I'm not going to go too in depth. They're pretty, simple. You can just read them on the Apple website, but they're at a 27-inch screen here. So this is a 27-inch panel that you're looking at here. This is a Retina display. It has 500 nits of brightness. Now, that's pretty big in comparison to the prior nits on the older version. So that's really what they touted when they launched this one. Also, dedicated graphics on this thing. But it has a wide color gamut P3, and I think it supports like 100% of the sRGB. So colors are on point for this MacBook, and they really show when you're looking at stuff like the wallpapers and stuff. So let me go over here into the desktop and screensaver, and let's look at the wallpapers here. So no matter what wallpaper you look on here, it just looks stunning on this device. And also, if you're doing like, I would say photo editing or anything like that, the Macintosh looks amazing. So the one I went with is the stock 3.4 gigahertz edition. This is a Core i5 turbo boost up to 3.8 gigahertz if necessary. This one started at $17.99, and to me, that is an incredible value, especially considering that, the older one you could find, the 2015, for about $1,400 or so. You're only paying a few $100 more, and you get all these upgraded features. Now, if you think about this, a MacBook Pro typically is way more than an iMac 27-inch. So if you get a loaded MacBook Pro, or even some of the base ones are like $23.99, so $500 more than an iMac. Now, don't get me wrong, this thing has to sit on a desk. I understand that, but still, this is an incredible value for what you're paying. 8 gigabytes of RAM standard, but this can be upgraded to 64 gigabytes of RAM on the rear. I'm gonna show you that a little bit later, but I haven't upgraded it just yet. So what I have here also in this guy is a 1 terabyte Fusion drive. Now, a Fusion drive is basically where you have, an SSD, and you also have a hard drive kind of working together. So it's not quite as quick as the MacBooks Pros like SSD, but you could get this with an SSD, but you're gonna have to upgrade in the price point to do that. Now, this comes with Radeon 570, graphics with 4 gigabytes of VRAM. So this is pretty much the entry level for 2017. The iMac Pro just launched, and that thing is just an absolute monster. So if we take a look at the iMac Pro, that thing has like 16 gigabytes of VRAM or something like that. It's a beast. But to me, I really didn't need this iMac Pro right here. This pretty much does it all for me with this 27-inch iMac, the standard one right here. So this also has a FaceTime HD camera. It also does Thunderbolt 3, and it has a 3.5 millimeter on the back. It also has 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports and USB 3 ports. It has like 4 of those. It also has a gigabit Ethernet port, and it does support SD card, which is huge for content creators. Now, it also came with a Magic Keyboard. As you can see right here, this is the Magic Keyboard with the Apple logo on the back. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not the best keyboard I've ever used in my life, but it's a nice keyboard nonetheless. I will probably upgrade that to the number pad keyboard later on, but it also came with this little Apple mouse, which I don't think is the most amazing thing here because it charges from the front. It's called the Magic Mouse or whatever. Not the greatest mouse I've ever seen, but it'll do. Now, this does have Wi-Fi AC, BGNN, it's got all the main specs of 2018 or 2017, and it does have High Sierra. It took me forever to upgrade this to High Sierra, but really why I got this is for future upgrades to the Final Cut Pro. I'm going to upgrade to this soon. I haven't done it just yet. I'm still using iMovie for editing, but I will be upgrading to this soon. Okay, guys, so I want to talk about the design, the body, and the build. So I'm going to begin at this front side. I will flip the Mac over so we can see how it looks, but it's a beast. It's a pretty heavy machine, so it's not something you want to move around a lot. Pick a spot and leave it there because it does weigh quite a ton. Now, I mean, it's not like super heavy if you're a dude, but if you're a little lady, it's going to be pretty heavy for you. So just pick a spot and put it where it's at. Aluminum construction here on this bad boy all the way around. Now, it does have pretty thick bezels though. So you can see right there along the sides of the Macintosh, a lot of bezel action going on right there. However, when you are immersed into your editing software, you don't really notice this too much. You just kind of get into the content or whatever you're doing. So, you know, they could in the future of iMac make these bezels thinner, make this like an all screen, which I'm pretty sure they will do eventually. However, at this point, they are pretty thick. So that's one thing I do want to mention about this body in the build and design. So let's flip it around to the side and see a side angle of this thing. All right, guys, so here's kind of a side view and the back of the iMac 27-inch. So you can see very clean design. We do have this nice stand here that the iMac goes in, and it comes like that out of the box. I mean, you don't even have to do any setup. This is actually one of the easiest computers I've ever set up in my life. Over here, you have a power button, which is very fast to respond when you do touch it. Right here, you do have your RAM slot, so that's where you're going to open up and put more RAM. Now, you can't do that on the iMac Pro. However, the iMac Pro gives you more RAM than this, you know, standard, so you don't really need it. So right here is the one single power outlet switch that you just plug in right there. You do run it through this little hole right here. That's why that's designed, so you can run it through this hole and to have a clean wire setup. So this is a very clean design here. Now let's go ahead and flip it to the top. Okay, guys, so you can see getting up a little higher here, here's that huge Apple logo right there. It kind of has like this little wedge in the back. So it's kind of a wedge shape. It's really kind of thicker in the middle, and then it's like really tapered off to the sides. And at the bottom, it's very, very thin. But right here, you see these little lines. These are ventilations for the computer. Let me tell you, in my 3 months using this thing, it's never, ever gotten hot one time. So let's take a look at all the ports set up now on the Mac. Okay, so taking a look at the port setup here, you do have your 3.5 millimeter headset, thank goodness. You do have another very crucial feature for creators and content producers, and that is the SDXC card, which you're gonna put in from your cameras when you do videos. Then you have 4 USB 3 ports that are compatible with USB 2.0. You have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports here, which are basically USB-C if you've heard of that. Gigabit Ethernet port right here, which I probably will never use, but it's there if you do need it. Now, this Macintosh definitely, even with stuff plugged in, tends to say super cool. So I do like this a lot, and this is actually one of the fastest computers I've ever used. So let's go ahead and take a look at one more design aspect of this before we get on to the next section. Okay, so here's the last design element of this computer that I do want to show you. This is a design element you probably will never really look at because we are looking at it from a downwards angle, but here is where the Mac looks, I think, the sexiest and the thinnest is from this angle right here. Now, since we are over here, I do want to go ahead and tilt the Mac just a little bit to show you. So give me a second here. I'm going to tilt it. And you can see right there just how much this does tilt. So you have nice functionality when it comes to the tilt. And just like on your MacBook Pro, that tilt is very sturdy and very solid, just like when you open the lid on a MacBook Pro. So that's the last design element. It's a beautiful computer in terms of design. It's just a little bit heavy, so you're gonna wanna keep it in one spot. Or if you do a move around or change your studio around your office, once in a while do a move. But for now, that's it for design. Let's talk about the next aspect, which is the display. All right, so I wanna talk a little bit about the display. First of all, this display gets extremely bright. So if you're looking for a super bright desktop, you might want to look no further than the Mac iMac 27-inch or maybe the Surface Studio, but that's like twice the price of this computer right here. So this thing gets extremely bright. Now, it's also 5K, but I never really found myself needing 5K. If this was 4K, I still would have been fine. 4K is probably where I want to be for a desktop, but 5K is nice to have because in the future, when resolutions bump up, this computer is kind of a future-proofed investment. So overall, the display, no matter what you're doing, photography, videography, anything, you're going to be a very happy person using this computer when it comes to just pure display quality. It's one of the best on the market. Okay, so what about the software with the iMac 27-inch? Now, I'm no Mac expert, but I can tell you right now that the software has been incredibly stable, a lot more stable than when I was using my Windows computer. This computer has never once crashed on me in the past 3 months. No matter what load I throw at it, it never crashes. Now, I do sometimes get that spinny wheel thing when I am doing multiple things in the background while rendering a 4K video, for example, and I am going to upgrade the RAM soon. I still have 8 gigs, but even with 8 gigs, I've been able to edit pretty much everything, including 4K, pretty much without breaking a sweat. Now, my 16 gigabytes of RAM in my MacBook Pro is definitely useful, so I will be upgrading this soon to either 16 or 32 GBs of RAM, but overall, considering that, you're getting this all in one, this software is amazing here. Sometimes you have to buy the software on Windows computers, for example. Now, performance in overall video editing has been nothing short of amazing, and I really am excited to try out the Final Cut Pro. But just using iMovie, for example, because I know a lot of people are going to be buying this computer for editing. Here's an old project, a project I did yesterday. It's going to be amazing. It's not hard to use. It's a very nice, simple setup here in iMovie. You got more functionality than you do in the iOS, but trust me, if you're a content creator, this thing is a dream to create on, and it really does help you become more efficient in everyday use. But overall performance is a champ on this thing. I still would recommend you maybe build your own PC if you want to do gaming. It still has a dedicated card, but I'm sure that's not the most powerful GPU setup you can get at this price point. You could probably do better than that if you built your own PC for gaming. However, gaming has never been the #1 priority for most Macintosh users. So overall, software and performance are strong. Hey guys, so in terms of the audio experience here on the Mac, it is a absolute monster in that sound. So let me go ahead and go to a YouTube video, for example, from the Nick Ackerman channel and see what it sounds like. So let me go to Nick Ackerman here. And you can see Nick Ackerman channel right here. And let's go to Nick Ackerman, and we're gonna go and see a video right here. So let's watch, how about we watch the 1 month later experience with the iPhone 10. So this ad go through. And I'm not even near it, but you're still gonna hear this, watch.
iPhone 10 1 month later experience. That video is coming up right now. Let's go.
Thing is just super, super loud.
Does that stainless steel scratch like the old iPod Touches? Yes, not as violently as that did, but really rocket case on this phone. Speaking about
good range of volume too, so if you bring it down, it gets plenty loud.
And again, since I bought this phone,
so overall, this thing just has a great hardware package on the whole, and for 1,800 bucks, we would expect a beast audio experience. And just like on the latest iPhones, you get an amazing audio experience here. Very loud speakers, louder than a MacBook Pro, louder than an iPad Pro, louder than an iPhone easily. Super loud speakers, and they also sound really good. The audio sounds really good through headphones as well. Okay, so a couple more things about the Mac. This is a 1 terabyte of storage. So, I do still have to manage the storage because as a video editor, you go through storage like it's candy. So it still has a lot of storage for most people. You're just still gonna have to manage it if you are transferring a lot of 4K files, because 1 terabyte, you know how easy that is to chew through if you're a content creator. But overall, I'd rather have 1 terabyte of storage than like the base model MacBooks with like 256 gigs. So nice offering there on the storage department. Now, one thing, I don't want this review to sound like it's totally positive. One thing I don't like about the Mac is I don't like the mouse that's included. I think it's uncomfortable. It's not very ergonomic, and it doesn't charge properly where you can use it while it's charging. So I don't really like the Magic Mouse that comes with it. It does have some nice features though, where you can do some side-to-side gestures on it to go ahead and just operate the Mac more efficiently, like to go into stuff like this, like mission control and things like that. So overall, that's one negative. The keyboard experience though, I really do like the keyboard. It's very nicely spaced out, and for a stock keyboard, this is really, really a nice offering here, and it feels very premium. So I do want to mention that. Now, I haven't used the FaceTime camera too much, but when I have, I do want to mention that the FaceTime camera is not bad. It's a pretty solid affair here for the FaceTime camera. So it's not the fullest 4K or whatever like that, but it'll work. So overall, I want to wrap this review up and give you my final conclusion on this MacBook, or this iMac 27-inch, and who this is for. So this iMac is for content creators. I really think Apple is aiming at the content creator with this one. This one is not for everybody. This is a $2,000 computer for browsing the web and watching some videos. You don't need a machine like this. But if you are, getting into YouTube serious and you want something on your desk to do all the work you need, and you want it all in one package, and you want a pretty design, if that, and a computer that's going to last you 5 to 10 years, I think this is the computer you're going to want to go with. Now, there is some downsides, like this computer is not super upgradable, so you can't change and swap parts out. So it might not be your favorite long-term investment if you're somebody who likes to switch out parts on your computer. However, all the stuff you get here, a similarly equipped PC would be probably more money to get this kind of display. all these great, features on the inside. And the Mac OS is really the selling point here. This thing is just super smooth. It gets security updates and it's encrypted. So it's a very secure, safe, and fast and fluid and also beautiful operating system. So that's my take here on the iMac 27. I had it for 3 months and I plan on having it for years to come. I know a lot of you might not be even interested in buying this, but one day if you are interested in getting an iMac, I can recommend it to you wholly. And if you are watching this and you are planning on buying one, don't even think about it. Go get it now. I do recommend 16 gigs of RAM if you are doing heavier stuff than just some basic video editing, like you're going to be using Final Cut. Go get the upgraded version of this Mac, pay a little bit more money, or just upgrade the RAM and you should be fine. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them down below in the comments section of this video. Hit the thumbs up for me, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Be sure to be well, and peace.